Hey, welcome back to Level 9 Magic Club. It's Fuzz. Join with me again is my favorite person that I like to play Magic with sometimes. He kind of sucks. Rage Knight Ryan, how you doing, man?
I'm great. How are you?
Awesome. Awesome. I'm really excited to get another episode into the bag and talk about some really cool stuff today.
Yeah, definitely. You want to give him the episode name?
Yeah, I could probably do that. So, if you haven't noticed by the thumbnail, our episode today is called Accidentally Infinite. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's I don't know how it sounds, right? It's when you find yourself playing a new deck. This happens to me, especially like we were talking about before the show, when I'm playing Kilo Apogee Mind, and I'm like, oh look, this is a combo, and oh look, that's actually an infinite combo, and you had no prior intention of making it happen. So and then you pop off, and everybody hates you, and it's great. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about.
Absolutely. And one of the reasons we decided to talk about this topic is because we recently in a game had one of our newer players figure out I have a combo that could win me the game. And there was an aha moment on his face, and he was just super excited. And the reaction we got out of him was really cool. So we can just kind of dive right into that. But I guess before we dive in, we can talk about a little bit else we'll be discussing today. So, not just infinite combos or aha moments. We're going to talk about some unbans that happened in Commander recently and talk about potential bans in the future that maybe we would like to see and some unbans we would definitely like to see.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll get into that later in the episode, but first we're going to talk about Accidentally Infinite and some of our experiences with it. So do you want to tell the story? You were the
I
player
was
in
the
the game.
victim of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our friend Mike's playing Kefka Court Mage, which out of the Final Fantasy set, super popular commander. I feel like I wanted to build him, but I felt like a ton of our friends were building him, so I don't like to copy as much. And I'm playing Corvold, and Corvold's kind of my was it Fey Curse King? I never paid attention to the back end of the text.
Yeah. Core of Old Fate Curse King.
And my Corvold build is one of my higher tier builds, in the fact that I play a bunch of treasures and let Corvold munch on those. He gets +1/+1 counters for every treasure I'm sacking, and I'm drawing cards. So it's really cool, kind of Tronny, where you can bulk him up, swing for heavy damage, get a bunch of cards in your hand. Super fun. Well, Mike is a newer player, and he's playing this Kefka build. And he starts going through the game, and we're battling back and forth, and he pretty much feels like there's no hope because Corvold's pretty well fleshed out at this point.
Yeah, you got your machine going.
Yes. And Mike, plays a Psychosis Crawler after having flipped Kefka Court Mage, and we kind of touched base on this in the first episode briefly. But so he flips it, and he goes, okay, well, I'll be able to draw cards or whatever, and then I can do some damage while I do that, so great. And he goes to swing. I think he hits me because I think I was swinging him with Corvold the turn before, and again, this was unforeseen. And he hits me, and he goes, oh, cool. Kefka says if I deal damage, and the neat thing about Kefka is it's not just him. If any source I think he controls deals damage, he draws cards. Cool. Well, I'm going to draw, what is he, a 5 something? Okay, I'll draw 5 cards. Oh, wait, hold on a minute. Psychosis Crawler says if I draw cards, you lose life. Cool. Okay, so I'll hit you. I'll go ahead and burn you for 5. Okay. And then we all kind of were like, hey, there's something happening there, I think Mike was like, oh, wait a minute. And it's just going to keep doing this. I think I win. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Right. Yep. So to kind of paint the picture, I was sitting beside Mike because Mike's still new, and I'm kind of watching what's in his hand, and he might ask me a question here and there, like, can this do what I think it does? And I'll either tell him yes or no, coach him up a little bit, because, we want to make sure they're able to get to our level at some point, and if you coach them up, they're going to get there. But one thing I noticed with Mike is he focused heavily on the front side of Kefka, which makes your opponent discard a card. And depending on what your opponent discards and what you discard, you can draw multiple cards, which is still pretty cool. Excuse me. Um, so he's playing that, and he's like, all right, Corvold's huge. He's a flyer. Kefka's kind of getting outmanned, and he finally flipped Kefka. I've not seen him do it very often. And when he does this, he attacks. He's like, I'm just going all out. Whatever. I'm probably going to lose. And then he hits you. He draws the card. And once I looked at Psychosis Crawler, because I wasn't really paying attention, I was like, oh, he's got the win. And I waited for a second to see if he noticed it. And he's like, all right, like you said, I'm going to draw these cards. And I'm like, all right, what happens when you draw cards, Mike? I deal a damage. Oh, I deal a damage. And he was like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to draw cards until you're dead.
Yeah.
And he got super pumped about that. And I mean, I did too. And I think you did as well. I think the
Yeah.
surprised look on your face was pretty priceless as well. Probably mine. I can't see myself, but it was a really cool moment. And I think that's when things started clicking a little bit more for him. And him being a new
Mhm.
player, it was nice for him to have that moment where he could just be like, all right, I'm starting to figure this game out.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I went ahead and made it worse and tossed him over a demonic tutor for his deck. So now he's like, great. And now when he plays, he goes, I'm going to demonic tutor. I'm going to fetch this psychosis crawler out of my deck, and I'm going to continually be a menace. So, I see cancer and I just keep building it up for him. So,
Yeah. So, um, him just getting that constant flow out of his deck is helping him a lot. He's starting to win a little bit more, which is good. You want to kind of want new players to see what it looks like to have your engine going or get your deck to do a certain thing repeatedly,
yep.
and that helps you get a little bit more wins. And I'm not saying wins are everything. Commanders is in fact a casual format, but if you ain't first, you're last.
Well, what I guess preach to new players is you built your deck to do a certain thing. And in Commander, because it's a singleton format, with your 99 or whatever, it's kind of hard to add consistency to the deck unless you do a couple things. One is adding tutor cards, being able to fetch a card out of your deck to get the pieces needed for whatever combo you're trying to develop is key to adding that consistency. Also, with that is draw. Having mass amount of draw in your deck is kind of the same thing. Yeah, you don't get to fetch the particular card, but you're adding the percentage chance that you obtain that card by adding mass draw. So with these two factors especially, you're able to add consistency in a format that is much more challenging to get that consistency because it's singleton, and able to, like you said, get the wins, or at the very least, if you're playing Commander and a pod, you're not doing like Brawl or something. It just allows to watch your machine actually work almost every game, and that's, I think, the fun of Magic, right? It's everybody knows it sucks to like mana locked where, oh, I've got 2 lands like for 10 turns. You're not having fun because you can't do anything, and so you're there to play. So even, and I will speak for myself here, even if I lose a game, if I can participate in that game, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. My engine's getting built. I'm doing big stompy creatures. Or I'm making cool little abuses of mechanics and keywords or whatever I'm doing. If I'm doing that, I feel pretty good. Even if I lose, I'm like, hey, look, my deck did what I made it to do. That's pretty fun. So, and for players to maximize fun early on, to me, I want to really preach that consistency because it allows them to have a good experience right off the rip. They don't have to go through the pitfalls I did with like being dumb and not adding a lot of draw to my deck or tutors to my deck if I had them, so that every game would flow nicely for me.
Right. And I do think it's so important to have that flow. And we've talked about this before, but one of my commanders that I play is Omnoth Locus of Rage. And
Yep.
more often than not, what happens with Omnoth, and this is kind of my own fault, and I'm even being playing 15 years, I'm still learning the game, which is really fun to me. But not mulliganing whenever you should mulligan is a big deal. And with the case with Omnoth is sometimes, and you've witnessed this, I get absolute gas in my hand. And by turn 4, I have
Yeah, it's
Omnoth
awful.
out, some nice big juicy tokens on the field, and I'm drawing cards. And then other times I'm playing like one thing per turn. I'm not getting much draw. Again, that's my fault. I need to learn to mulligan a little bit better. And it was cool. We had a moment not too long ago with a newer player, Zach, who kept a 2-land hand of the same color, but none of the other cards were. I think he had 2 swamps, but none of the other cards had that casting cost in it.
Right,
So
2 swamps and a Sultai deck.
yes, yep, and it was not doing anything for him, and he unfortunately lost that game, and he was kind of bummed. And I kind of told him like, hey, just you need to kind of check your lands in your hand, what you have in your hand, like the mana costs. And when he played the next game, he looked at his hand and he looked at me. He said, "Hey, I think I should throw this away." And when I looked at his hand, yeah, he did have 3 different colors, but everything in his hand were just absolute bombs. I'm talking 6+ mana. And that's
Yeah,
not something you want in your opening hand. And he ended up mulliganing, and I'm pretty sure he ended up winning that game,
yeah,
um, which was awesome. So that's just a lesson you can learn and teach no matter how long you've been playing. If you don't take good mulligans, then you're probably not going to have very much fun. And like you said, it's not so much that whenever I'm playing a deck that I got to win every single game, but I do want to compete and I want my deck to do
yep,
things, and at least make the other 3 people work for a win and really kind of flex your mental capacity to its max. And I think that's what I get out of Magic so much is
yep.
just being able to flex my brain, use it, strengthen that muscle, because it is a muscle like anything else, just use a little differently.
Yeah, and speed kills for sure. So the faster you can do it, consistency helps add to that. If you're able to every turn do multiple things, and that continually ratchets up the pressure against your opponents, you have a good chance of winning. And then the exception to the rule that we just talked about is, and I will absolutely do this, is if I have green and I have, let's say, same scenario like Zach, except I have 2 forests in hand, but I have a cultivate or something like that, I might take it because the chances I pull a land and I'm able to just fetch exactly what I need at that point and make it work because I have really good cards in hand, I might risk it just depending on what's in there. Or I have a mana artifact or what we call mana rocks. So if I got 2 lands and I've got an arcane signet, okay, I can make this work. That's basically 3 lands. I'm solid.
Right. And green's kind of the outlier, right? Because I'll say that's my wheelhouse. I love ramp. Green was the color I learned on. And for me, as long as I have a forest in my hand and I see some ramp, I don't necessarily need to have the other colors I'm needing, whether I'm running, you know, uh, red, green, black, blue, green, red, whatever color combination you can think of. For me, if I have a forest and some ramp, I'm probably keeping that hand just because it's going to help me get to where I want to be. But
Yeah.
again, green's the outlier. That's kind of what it does. It makes
Yeah.
big creatures and it gets lands out for you to play those big creatures.
Right, which lends itself to the consistency. It's similar. The green mechanic of the cultivates could almost reach the far seeks of the world that are similar to the tutor aspect. Yeah, you can't search any card, but they're like the tutor of green, right? They fetch the land you need to add consistency to the deck and let you ramp fast. So green is crazy good.
Right. So let's go ahead and talk about some combos. Some
All
other
right,
ones that we've just seen in the wild. I'll
the
start
wild.
by yeah.
It's like Pokemon. You're just running into wild combos in the tall grass.
Exactly. I'll start by saying this. I am personally not a fan of combos. I'm not saying that I hate them, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't be played. For me, I just don't like to win with combos. there's nothing, again, there's nothing really wrong with it. If that's how you end the game and that's the way you enjoy playing, by all means, make a cool combo. But I will say this: if I'm playing against you and I know your deck combos, I'm gonna try my best to stop it, to make you win the game another way, to make you think harder. Um, I just I get more I get more out of that than actually winning the game, I think. So if I can stop your combo and you can still win the game, that to me is a lot of fun. And if I win the game, cool. I accomplished my goal. I stopped the combo and I won. But if you win the game after I stop your combo, whether I remove that piece from the game or remove it from your deck, whatever, that is fun to me, especially if you win the game. That'll impress me, more than anything.
Hmm. Yep, recovery, adapting.
Yep. So force people to kind of get out of their comfort zone in the game and see where they can go. It's a lot of fun. So you kind of push them. So one thing I did recently, I built a Vivi deck. I have a lot of fun with it. I don't play it too much because it can be a little bit of a higher tier for me as well. So I'm not playing it with our newer guys. I usually play it with our OG group. The guys have been playing for 10, 15, 20 years. Yeah. So they can handle it and play. But
yeah, they can handle the abuse. They deserve it.
Exactly. They definitely deserve it. But we were playing recently, and this might have been a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But in Vivi, I put Hullbreaker Horror in the deck. And just because I had it, I thought he was a really cool card. And I was like, oh, yeah, this will help me control the board and stop people from making their combos happen. Well, in the game, I accidentally found out that Hullbreaker is an infinite combo if you have certain cards on the field, like Sol Ring and Arcane Signet, for example. Essentially, you cast a spell, return one of those rocks to your hands, tap the rock to play that, and then you return a rock to your hand, and you just do that over and over again. And with Vivi, every time you cast a non-creature spell, you deal a damage. And that was still pretty fun because I accidentally figured that out. I wasn't intending to do it. I still need to take Hullbreaker Horror out of the deck just because I'm not a combo player, and that's just not how I like to win. And I accidentally did it twice because I think our friend Dan was playing Chalet and Halar. And
accidentally.
Yeah, so he was playing Chalet and Halar, and what does he call it? The ham sandwich, or one of our friends calls it the ham sandwich.
Because he can combo with a ham sandwich. Is the joke?
Yeah, and that deck combos with anything, and it goes infinite and just destroys everything. It's pretty cool. It's a really good deck. But I ended up, I can't remember what happened, the sequence of events, but we stopped the combo from happening. I think I might have countered something that allowed him to go infinite, which kind of grinded him to a halt in that particular game. That usually doesn't happen, usually has a backup plan. But in this particular game, he didn't have anything after that combo, and I stopped it. And then I ended up playing Hullbreaker Horror, and the whole time he's like, here it comes. He's going to do it after he just complained about my combo. And which was kind of funny, and I think is another reason why I did it. Just to rub some salt in the wound. Give the
people what they want.
Exactly. So that's a combo that I accidentally found, and maybe the second time played on purpose, but that was a fun one. Yeah. But let's hear some infinite combos, because if there's a combo player in our play group, you are definitely one of them. So tell us a little bit about yours.
You take that back, sir.
Hey,
I play with finesse and skill.
Yeah, but they're cool combos. Let's be real. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, unlike you, I'm actually looking at the combos. Like, I don't normally accidentally stumble into them. I'm like, no, it's not a bug. It's a feature. But I think I had one experience, I will say up front, where I hadn't fleshed out this commander. That commander was Zaxar the Exemplar. I think that's what his, again, once I get the name, I don't care what the rest of it is. Yeah, the Exemplary is what it is. So, remember, I think it was me, you, and Matt, maybe Steve was there as a pod of 4. And I play Zaxar because you guys were like, we'll tear down or whatever. And I said, yeah, I just built this, and it's not anything crazy. It builds big stompy Hydras because it's an X spell deck. You play an X spell, and whatever X is, Zaxar lets you make that equivalent of a Hydra token. So I thought, oh, that's cool. And we'll play this and it won't be anything too insane. And then I throw Freed from the Reel onto Zaxara. Again, usually I look up these combos, but it was so new and I just like played the deck because I thought it'd be fun and I was excited about it and hadn't researched like all the combos. This was just out of my head. I said, oh, this will be cool. And I didn't think much more than 5 seconds about it. Throw Free from the Reel on it. Zaxara lets you tap him for 2 mana of any one color. And so you basically use it for blue. And Freed from the Reel lets you tap and untap or untap a creature for 1 blue. So you basically infinitely loop, get mana, and then just build infinite Hydras tokens from that when you play X spells. And so, yeah, that worked out pretty great. And that was one of the few times I bumbled my way into a infinite combo.
Yeah, and that combo that's a easily fetched combo, especially in that color combo scheme. Yeah, you have any sort of tutor, and you get Freed from the Reel. I mean, and if you
Pemenzor is the other version as well.
Yeah, so it's really tough to beat that. You have to definitely be playing some interaction to stop that one.
Yep, definitely. But yeah, some of the combos. I'm going to pull one from days long before Commander, and then give the Commander equivalent. And so when I played Modern, I played a lot of artifact nonsense. And one of the combos I used was a Mirror Galvanizer combo. So Mirror Galvanizer, for those who don't know, is you tap 3 mana, play him out, he's a 2/2, and his top ability is other mirrors you control get 1/1. And then his activated ability is tap 1, tap him, untap each other mirror you control. Cool enough. Well, then, because I was in Modern at the time, I'm like, oh, well, I can play a playset of these guys. So the Modern equivalent was play another Mirror Galvanizer, have them both untapping each other and all other mirrors, infinitely. And then you just needed a mana mirror, something tapping for a color, or like a Palladium mirror that taps for 2 colorless. That also can do it. And you just get infinite mana that way. So the Commander version now, because the singleton format is Mirror Galvanizer, a mana mirror, and then something like a Mirror Maid to copy the creature, because it's not legendary. So you can play Mirror Maid, copy them, and make yourself another Mirror Galvanizer, and then do the same thing. That'll give you some infinite mana, and it's pretty easy to accomplish, especially if you're playing artifacts.
Right, and you can insert any blue copy creature spell too. Doesn't have to be Mirror Maid.
No, that's just an example. Just something that copies the artifact.
Yeah.
You can spark double it if you want to. I don't care what you do. or like a
Mirage Mirror. Wouldn't Mirage Mirror work?
That's what I was trying to get out.
Yeah.
Yep. So all perfectly acceptable. Just copy the Galvanizer and you're good. Another easy one. This is a 2-card combo. And if you notice the trend of artifacts here, but Thopter Assembly and Time Sieve. Perfect. 2-card combo for infinite turns. So Thopter Assembly is 6 generic, 6 colorless mana for a 5/5 flyer. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control no Thopters other than Thopter Assembly, return a Thopter Assembly to its owner's hand and create 5 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. Then, so once you play him out, and at that next upkeep, when he goes back to your hand and you got the 5 1/1s, you then have Time Sieve out, which is blue-black, and it's an artifact that says sacrifice 5 artifacts to take an extra turn after this one. So you just do that ad infinitum. You make the 5/5s at your upkeep, you sack them. Okay, I secured my next turn. I'm going to do whatever I want to do for the rest of the turn, and rinse and repeat over and over again until your friends kick you out of their house. So solid 2-card combo.
Yeah, and I remember when you played that one, and it was always tough because there's not a whole lot you can do. Again, you got to make sure you run some sort of interaction to get rid of that Time Sieve forever.
Yeah,
but even then, it's an artifact, so you can target it, but he's just going to tap and sacrifice 5 artifacts and take an extra turn. So I guess you better do it while Thopter Assembly's abilities on the stack. There's some certain timings that maybe you can get in there and get that gone, but that one is really
you try to hide your hand.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, you don't play the Civ out while right off the rip, right? You play the Thopter Assembly out innocent. You're like, I'm just playing this cool creature. When it comes back to your turn and you get the 5/1/1s, you then go, great, now I'm going to play Time Civ. Now I'm going to do that. Like, you want it to come out of nowhere. You want it to come out when people are likely tapped down, have expended all the resources on other endeavors, not knowing that that's what you're aiming for. Now, obviously, as you play this within your own play group, they're going to be savvy to this technique. But you just make it tough, even if they see it coming. If you've really put beating on them and you've picked an opportunity where you've been smacking their stuff, destroying their things, putting the pressure on them, and this is the finisher, you got to set up for it more the more they know about it. But it's very doable. Again, it's a 2-card combo, so super easy. And in artifacts, there's so much recursion and ways to bring your artifacts back and whatnot. It's not hard to just go, oh no, you blew it up, put it in the graveyard, I'm going to bounce back.
So. Right. And that's the strength, like you said, of that type of play, because I think at some point we got savvy to it and we're like, all right, that needs to go or not be on the field. But you always had a way to bring it back and make it tough to keep it off there. Because once you start taking those extra turns and go infinite with extra turns, it's over.
Yeah, you're done. They get to watch you play Magic, or they just accept the inevitable.
Exactly.
Okay. So I'll bring up a long lost combo now, because this one was near and dear to my heart until they shot my boy, old Watsy. Anytime something gets too good, they take him out back and give him the old yeller. But this is the Dockside Extortionist, infamous Dockside Extortionist, with Temur Sabertooth. So I put this in that previously mentioned Corvold deck with treasures. Insane amount of value. So, for those of you who somehow don't know what Dockside Extortionist does, he's a 2-drop. What is he, like a 1/2? Enters the battlefield, create X treasure tokens, where X is the number of artifacts and enchantments your opponents control. Super easy to achieve when you're playing in a pod and everybody's playing mana rocks, everybody's playing enchantments. That's very common. And then you have Temur Sabertooth out, who's a 4-drop, 2 green and 2. And he's 4/3, tap a green and 1. You may return another creature you control to its owner's hand. If you do, Temur Sabertooth gains Indestructible until end of turn. So, 1, he protects himself, so you can keep doing this stuff. But 2, you're going to keep bouncing that Dockside. You're going to throw Dockside out. You're going to create X treasure tokens based on the enchantments and artifacts everybody has. And it's not hard to get over the mana cost, right? Because you still got to cast them for 2. And you still got to pay the 2 to bounce them. So 4 breaks even. You want to at least have like 5 reoccurring treasures to +1 the effect. So you're just going to keep bringing them out, and you're going to keep sacking the treasures to play him back out and use Temur Sabertooth's ability, while also gaining, like, stockpiling the treasures to an infinite degree. And then, again, use and abuse whatever mechanic you like to do once you have that infinite mana.
Right.
My preference is artifact, or I call them, stuff that says when artifacts get destroyed, they do a damage, or whenever you play an artifact, it deals a damage. And when you're just constantly entering and sacking treasures, it's at your will.
Right. And I believe you use this combo in Corvold a lot before the ban.
That's what I said. Yep. It's pre-ban, before the Watsy decided it was too good.
Right. Well, I do have a remedy for that, by the way, that will fix everybody's problems. We can unban Dockside and...
0.
Well, no, not that. Don't play artifact rocks. Just play green. You know what I mean?
Oh, here we go. The green propaganda, of course.
Yeah. They can't... I mean, he's not going to hit your rampant growth in the graveyard. He's not going to hit your cultivate in the graveyard.
It's not happening. There's too many good artifacts, too many good enchantments. Everybody agrees. Oh, no. It's not going to happen.
And then, if you're running green, you have all this artifact and enchantment hate throughout the whole color. So just make sure you have green in every single deck you play, and we can unban Dockside. We're fine.
Well, I do agree. Green is one of my favorites to play because it makes life easy. Green and blue. That's why Simic's my favorite 2-color combination, because it just... green ramp and power, and blue counters and control is insane. Just being able to control the field and ramp all your stuff is just stupid good. So right. I can't argue green's efficacy.
Yeah, it's my favorite. It's very rare that I have a deck that doesn't have green in it, and I'm trying to broaden my horizons and play stuff
Yeah,
that isn't
branch out,
green.
dude.
Yeah, but it's tough. Like my brain starts to melt when I'm like, oh, I don't have green to ramp and fix my mana base, and
Yeah, what do? I got an artifact.
yeah, yeah. So, but it's fun to branch out into something you're not normally used to. So, I would definitely recommend that if you've been playing for a while and things kind of feel stale, or just play a different color and figure it out. That's what
Yeah,
some of the best
I
advice I've ever
purposely
got.
build
Figure
weird
it out.
commanders for that.
Right. So
Build
I
weird
think,
stuff, make it challenging. If you got combos, by all means, if you got a couple, let me know.
well, no, I don't have any because, like I said, I'm not a combo player in the least. I like to just play big guys and attack.
Just
Which,
embrace the suck.
yeah, no. So I think the last combo that I see, at least, that we were going to talk about is one of my favorite commanders that you've played, and which is Brea Ethereum Shaper.
Okay.
And you've had that deck for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Do you still have it? Is it still put together?
Oh yeah. Yep. I tore apart decks like Brea, some others. I had Narset as well. That were some of my best early on commanders, and then tore them apart because I was just wanting to build. I have a building deck problem. Anybody knows me, I have too many, and then I come back and I'm like, I want to rebuild these, and we'll say the modern era at the time, and give them a little boost, and then see if they're as effective as they once were with a care package, we'll say. And sure enough, like both Narset and Brea, once I boosted them up with some more modern artifacts and tinkered with them some more, they were just right back in the fight, winning games. It was great.
Right. So tell us a little bit about some of those combos you had in Brea, because she was pretty close to a ham sandwich as well when it came to combos.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, one of them we talked about, that's the Time Sieve and the Thopter Assembly. That was one of my first combos I put in Brea. Super easy 2-card combo. One of the, I think this is another well-known combo in artifacts in general, but is having Brea Ethereum Sculptor out, or Shaper out. I always say Sculptor. And having Ashnod's Altar, so you need that sack outlet. Because Ashnod's Altar lets you sack a creature and add 2. You can also use, was it Krark Clan Ironworks, which says sack an artifact, I believe, give you 2 generic mana as well, kind of the same thing. And Nim Death Mantle. So Nim Death Mantle is an equipment, so you're going to equip it for 4. He's 2 to play, 4 to equip. And it says equipped creature gets +2/+2, has Intimidate, and is a black zombie. So that's a nothing burger. You don't care about that. What you care about is this part where it says whenever a non-token creature is put into a graveyard or your graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay 4. If you do, return that card to the battlefield and attach Nim Death Mantle to it. So the idea is when you play Brea out, Brea hits, she generates 2 1/1 blue Thopter tokens. You then sack those tokens. You can sack everything to Ashnod's Altar. So you can sack, Brea, and the 2 tokens. Nim Death Mana will trigger for 4. So if you're doing the math, that's 6 mana you generated, 4 of which allows you to bring everything back. So there's an infinite mana combo there. Once infinite mana is generated, you can then start sacking Brea constantly and use her ability, or sack the tokens. You just sack Brea and the tokens constantly. Because the ability is tap 2, sack 2 artifacts, choose 1, deal 3 damage to target player or planeswalker, do a -4/-4 to a creature, or you gain 5 life. And obviously, you're going to favor the 3 damage to a player aspect of that. So once you have that infinite mana and you can infinitely sack Brea and the artifacts to bring them back, the Thopters, you just infinitely burn everybody.
Right. And that was a combo that I remember seeing several times. And you talked about Thopter, I think it was Thopter Assembly and Time Sieve together. So the funny thing would be is you would kind of bait that out. I remember this. You'd bait that out and everybody would be like, all right, we know what's coming. It's that stupid Time Sieve, and we would take care of it. And then it was kind of like a smoke and mirrors. It was like, look over here while I build this over here. And then, yeah, you stop this combo, but you didn't see this one hanging out on the field. So choose your threat. Which one do you want to do? So it gave you a lot of outs whenever you got those cards. So it was really fun.
Yeah, you have to. It's kind of like I said before. You've got to get tricky as people get to know what you're up to. So you got to do a lot of smoke and mirrors. And again, there's nothing better There's nothing better as a combo player when you bait out what people think you're up to, and they destroy it, and everybody's high fiving around the table, and you're like, guys, that was a great job. I'm proud of you. But you didn't think of this combo, and you throw it out, slam it on the table, and then just the light leaves their eyes, and they all lower their heads in defeat, and you're just like, that's right. I'm never coming back here again. But I won.
Yeah, it's a good time. And excuse me, and that comes with time too with your play group, and you kind of get used to seeing it, and you're like, I have an idea what's going to happen, and here's what I got to try to do to stop it, and let's see how the game goes.
Yeah, so and that's why you mix up your decks a little bit too. There's a lot of good artifact stuff, so if you can interchange different combos or make it happen in a different way and surprise people, that's how you get more success.
Right. Are there any other combos that you can think of or want to talk about before we move on to the bans?
I don't want to bore everybody to death here. That I'm sure every person who despises combos is like, I'm sick of this guy already. But let me at least throw one more at you, because I mentioned Kilo earlier, and one thing I've not got to pull off. It's in the deck, but I'm trying to make it happen. It's another artifact deck. Is the Magistrate's Scepter coupled with the Etheric Amplifier. And this amplifier artifact I've been super excited about. So the idea is you get Magister Scepter out on the field. So it's a 3-drop, 3 colorless mana artifact. You tap 4 mana and you tap it and put a charge counter on the Scepter, right? The second ability is you tap the Scepter, remove 3 charge counters, and take an extra turn. Okay, so right off the rip, you're thinking 4 mana, put a counter on it, take some time to build up. But, proliferate's a thing. That helps. Okay, great. And that's what kind of Kilo does. He taps it, he proliferates. So you can abuse it, but you're not like breaking the game with it, because it still takes a minute. You got to let it cook for a minute. However, once you get 3 counters on that, and again, I would definitely suggest a proliferation type mechanic or ways to put counters on stuff, because once you get to 3 on this, that's where the amplifier can help you go infinite, which is the amplifier is a 3-drop as well, 3-drop artifact. That is also a rock, right? It taps to add 1 mana of any color. You don't care about that. Here's what matters. You're going to tap 4 mana, choose 1, activate only as a sorcery, double the number of each kind of counter on target permanent, or double the number of each kind of counter you have. So, with the amplifier out and 3 counters on the Scepter, you then tap 4, double the counters on the Scepter, and then tap the Scepter, because if you're doing the math, that's 6 counters on it now. You're going to remove 3 to take the extra turn, and you're going to do that every turn. 4 mana, double the counters, take 3 off, take an extra turn. And so for 4 mana, you get to take all the turns you want until you win the game.
Right. And that one requires a little bit more setup. And I think if you're playing with a new play group, it is a good combo to have on the field that's kind of transparent. And that way the newer players can see, oh, this guy might be trying to do this. I need to stop it. It gives them more of a warning and some time. Like you said, it takes a little bit of time to cook. But if you get it off, I mean, you're going infinite and you win the game. And I think that's a cool combo to, like I said, play with newer players that can kind of see that coming and have an opportunity to stop
time. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, a beast within solves your problem. A lot of things do, really. And so it's foreseeable. And for the experienced player trying to abuse that before there's a response, one thing is like having Kilo being in blue is you can be that dirtbag who's playing free counter spells you to protect your asset. But also, like even in green, right? Heroic Intervention gives permanence, hexproof and indestructible, does it not, Mr. Green player? Oh,
absolutely it does.
Yeah, so even if you're in green, you're playing a different commander and you're doing something different than what I'm doing with Kilo, green has answers as well to keep that on the board. So you just got to protect it. You got to have the Iron Dome, if you will, out for this type of play where like it's obvious, everybody knows what's up, but you got to have protections for it. And if you can, speed the process up a little bit. Like I said, some proliferation would help kind of speed the process along. So maybe it's only a couple turns of this. But yeah, the less time you have to fend off the barbarians at the gate, the better you're going to be.
Exactly. So what would you say are the pros and cons of playing combos for your play group?
Well, uh, I say all pros and no cons, but that's because I don't worry about feels. But if you're a nicer person and you want to you want to keep your play group, you know, happier, right? Especially if you have some guys who aren't friendly with combos or not fans of that. I mean, that's why the bracket system was developed, right? Because there's people who don't much care for that. They want to play the magic they probably remember, right? The grindy matches that takes a long time because everybody's playing big creatures, swinging into each other. And it's this great big battle. And again, I love that too. I love playing casual with my, we have friends that don't care for the infinite stuff or CEDH. They like the casual format. So we play with those guys at different decks and different tier levels. And then for our more competitive players, we ratchet it up. And for those guys, there's no mercy. If you're like me, you've been playing 20 plus years, I'm going to throw the combos, and the good thing about the combos, let's get to the pros. So the pros would be that you don't have these drug out matches. So if you're like me, you have a family, you can't be out like you used to at 2 or 3 in the morning and no responsibilities. Like if you're in college, obviously you could probably do that a lot more, or in high school, depending. But yeah, when you have a career and family, people who rely on you, it's important, obviously, that like you're likely not going to be able to be out like you were. So, in the limited time you have in a pod, combos allow you to move through games. It's not just one big, trudge through a game of a commander. Because it's like, okay, well, I had like 4 or 5 hours tonight, and yeah, good game. That was one, and great. That was not fun whatsoever. So,
Mhm.
having a combo does let you pull the pin on the grenade and finish the game off and move to the next one. And then by the time you leave, hey, I've got 5, 6 games in of Commander this night with the limited time I had. So that's one good thing about it. The other thing is, as you're playing competitive people and you're trying to combo off, and this is what I love, is when like me, you, Matt, and Dan were playing. So we're all seasoned players. And Matt tried to combo, I think, 2 or 3 times, and he was countered and stopped in some ways. And then, I would try some stuff, and Dan would try some. We all took turns, like trying to end the game and do something wild and crazy. So I like the chaos of it because it's. I'm going to throw a combo out, and my more experienced players are a lot not shaken. They're just like, whatever. I'm just going to deal with that and solve the problem, and then I'm going to try. It allows these spikes, right? These spikes of like, oh no, okay, we're good. Oh no, okay, we're good. So it
Right.
adds some of that emotion and adrenaline because at any moment it could just drop and be done. So there's the fun aspect of it. What most people get worried about with infinite combos, especially if you're a person who likes casual, is it gives nobody a chance to move. Those guys who aren't playing fast and loud, you know what I mean? They're playing. I'm going to play human tribal type deck. I want to build up. I want to do fun smashy stuff. Or I'm playing, big creatures, but I'm not doing like CEDH levels where I'm, going to ramp into it and turn 2, have Gult out somehow. You know, they want time to play and smash into each other and have fun and have interactions. And so the bad feels come when, your friend who doesn't agree with that, he's the one guy in the corner and he's like watching you build your stuff. Meanwhile, he's twisting his mustache like an evil villain saying, I'm going to combo off here in 5 seconds, ruin everybody's life. That's less fun because there's a misunderstanding of what we're doing here, right? There's a casual pod of guys who want to have the fun, grindy fights. And then there's a pod that's willing and accepting of those, and they have answers for it. So, like, it's more fun because they can still interact, whereas the casual guy can't. He's not prepared for that stuff yet, or he doesn't want to. Like, they've had an agreement that they're not going to play that. They're going to play bracket 3 and under, let's say. So, there's just kind of the pros and cons. So, I personally tier my decks for that. With the level 9 Magic Club, with our younger guys, we're playing casual stuff and we're letting them build up to that. There's infinite combos that they're starting to figure out, and we'll ratchet it up as they go, and if they're up for that. And then with our competitive guys, there's no mercy. It's Cobra Kai. You strike hard, strike first, no mercy. So you just smash them in the ground, try to combo as fast as you can, and get to the next.
Right. And I think to this day, my favorite game night that we've had was that game when it was me, you, Dan, and Matt. And we just kept all of our decks were in check by each other. There was no flow one way too heavy or too light, which was awesome.
Yep.
So you can get really good games out of it if you have those experienced players and know what to look for. And that makes it fun. And eventually everybody will get there. So,
Yeah.
but like
Well,
you
and the
said with
common denominator is the fact that in both stories, the casual and the non-casual, the key component that made everybody feel good was they all could interact. So me infinitely comboing in the competitive pod, they can still interact because they're experienced, they know what they're doing. The casual players who either don't want to or are not experienced enough to deal with the infinite combos, they don't get to interact. But if you don't play the combos, they get to interact with everything you're doing. So interaction seems to be the key point in when people have fun is everybody has a chance to play and respond and do things. And so when you infinitely combo in a pod that does not like that, you take that away from them and thereby lowering the fun factor, we'll say.
right. And my pros and cons are kind of similar to yours. So the pro of it is that you get games through a little bit faster, and just some future sight. We're probably going to have an episode about game flow, how you can get more games in, and the importance of doing that. Because if you play just one game for 5 hours, you're going to burn some people out. I know myself included. But the pros of that, like you said, getting a game over whenever it's just taking too long is nice to have that combo in there or have that combo player to kind of get through that wall.
Yeah.
Now, the cons for me is we play, I would say, fringe CDH. We want to play CDH, but if you really look at it, the really good cards that cost thousands of dollars, we're not buying. We have a couple in our play group that actually do, and whenever he plays his combos, it can be over on turn 2 or 3, and then that would be my frustration is I don't actually get to play my deck. So
Yeah.
that to me, I'm just like, oh, that sucks. Good game. We move on. But then that makes me go back to the drawing board and say, all right, I got to be prepared for this, and know how to stop it if it's like turn 2 or turn 3, and know what to look for.
Yeah.
So
If everybody again, and sorry to interrupt there, if everybody's on that level though, it's the same. It's the same reality. If everybody's CDH, right? Everybody's like, I can respond to that in turn 3. That's what my force of will's for. That's what my force of negation's for. Fierce guardianship. I have answers, so I don't care. Go ahead and try to combo. It's not going to work, and it's going to be my turn, and then I'm going to combo. So as long as everybody's set to that point, it's the what is it? The asymmetry of it that makes it not fun for people. When people are just at two different levels, there's a large gap between the guy doing all that crazy stuff on turn 2 and 3 and the guy over here who's like, yeah, I need 10 turns to kind of make this thing work, so I'm gonna need you to back off.
right, exactly. So those are some pretty good combos. They're all really fun, if you play them and you like to play that way. So check them out. Look, there's tons and tons of combos out there,
Oh my god,
that you
yeah.
can play.
Yeah, we just barely
These are,
touched.
yeah, these are just some of the ones we've seen in our play group, mainly from the Rage Knight himself. But let's move on to some recent news. Commander unbans. We have a couple of cards that just got unbanned, no new bans, which I am appreciative of. I am not a person that likes the ban hammer. It has to be incredibly broken. I mean, incredibly broken for me to say, okay, that probably should be banned.
Yeah.
But we had a couple of them unbanned, and one of them I'm really excited about. Our friend Dan has been begging for this card to be unbanned for literally a decade, like a long, long time, and that is Biorhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And Biorhythm is a 8 mana sorcery, 6 colorless, 2 green. And it says each player's life total becomes the number of creatures he or she controls. And I'm not going to lie, dude, that makes me drool a little bit being a heavy creature player.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the simple thing is playing Biorhythm after you board wipe and you heroic intervention your stuff. So you're just like, yeah, I got creatures, none of you do. Okay, this game's over.
Yeah, it's an easy one, but it's also easy to play around. I mean, it's a very counterable spell.
Yeah,
It's easy to
heavy
keep your
too.
Yeah, it's a heavy-handed spell. So usually if somebody's playing that, they're not going to have very much resource to respond to it being stopped. So I personally like that unban. We've
Yeah, I do
had
too.
a similar card, Shaman of the Forgotten Ways. It's Biorhythm on a stick. It's got like an extra condition in there. You have to have like I think power 8 or greater on your field. But that's what
And
green
green.
wants.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's what green wants to do anyway. So
Yeah.
that one doesn't bother me too much. I think that that's gonna come out. I don't think you're gonna see it a whole lot, and I don't think it's gonna be as game ending as people think it will be. But it might be one of those cards that honestly helps kind of end a game. Like you're just in a game, you've been playing for
Yep.
maybe over an hour, and everybody's kind of at a stalemate, and then the biorhythm player drops that on the field and everybody's life total becomes less than 10 and you got some creatures and whoever's creatures are out there might be a little bit stronger than the other and then people just start dropping like flies.
Yeah, it's progress. See, that's what I keep saying, people. You're hating on the combos, but we can end this game right now. Just move on to the next one.
Yeah, maybe play a different deck or get to shuffle your library, play your same deck, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, which, and I'm not saying combo constantly. You know what I mean? Because that would also too much of an extreme, really, in any side is not good. So if you just had the guy that's all he does is like, I'm going to tutor, I'm going to combo, I'm going to tutor, I'm going to combo, I'm going to draw, I'm going to combo, and you're like, dude, like, is there a different trick here, or we just this is it? You know? So
Yeah. And I will say this, we have an inside joke in our play group. If you tutor more than 3 times and you're not winning the game, that is a problem. And I'm not talking like tutoring for lands either. Like I'm talking your black, find any card in your deck spell and put it into your hand. If you play 3 or more and you haven't won the game, you need to look at your deck. Like, what are you doing?
thumbs up.
So
Yeah,
the other card that got unbanned was, and this one I think should have never been banned. I do like what they
don't
did
be
with it.
scared.
Yeah, I do like what they said. So Lutri the Spell Chaser is unbanned, but remains banned as a companion. So I can agree with that, but that should have that should have been from the start. Banned as a companion, it can be as a commander in the 99. So Lutri, he is a 3 mana creature. He costs a hybrid red blue, and 1, so 3 total. And I'm not even going to mention the companion part because it's not really relevant. Because he's banned as a companion. But he's a 3/2 with flash. When he enters the battlefield, you may cast it, or excuse me, if you cast it, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the cost or for the copy. So that is nothing new in blue or red, and
Yeah,
it's
dual
not.
caster mage exists.
Yeah, sure it comes out of your command zone, but you do have the command tax that +2s that every single time. So you have to cast it. It's not an ETB effect. So for me, I never really liked that they banned it in the first place. I understand banned as a companion because then it can literally be in every blue-red deck as a companion because
Yeah,
of
that was really the
commander.
fix.
Yeah, that was it. That's all I needed to do from the get-go was just
Yep.
ban him as a companion and let you play him as a commander or in the 99 of your deck. One of the things that I cannot stand is when players or wizards, whomever, they will say, oh, well, this card will go in every single X deck. Blue deck, green deck, red, blue. I'm like, yeah, but so can't Teferi's puzzle box and all these artifacts and all these
Now,
things that are a nightmare. They can go into that color. And so if by that logic, why aren't we just banning every single card that goes into that color? So for me, that's just a little frustrating. I think it has to be crazily broken in order to be banned, and I don't think that would deserve the ban. What do you think?
I think we can expand and we need to refine this because I think it's kind of convoluted right now. But the bracket system can fix this. I don't think you necessarily have to have a huge overarching ban list. I think you need to have individual ban lists. For example, if you have a 5-tier bracket system, there's a ban list for competitive at the top at 5. There's a bracket 4. There's a ban list for it, and so on and so forth down to ensure that those cards that like if you're playing a bracket 3 more casual with friends, you go off the bracket 3 ban list, which would get rid of all the cards that most people have bad feels for or combo off or whatever the case is, so your games are more grindy in what you're looking for in Commander. And then as you tier up, that ban list almost ceases to exist as you get to like bracket 5. I think that's the fix. That way, it's tailored to whatever you're doing. I think that's what they have done for the most part, like the game changer idea and what should and shouldn't be there. But it's not. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's not like a ban list per se. It's like just you can't classify your deck as this if this is in it. But that's not stopping anything, right? It's not like a ban list.
Yeah, and I think they can work with it, and it sounds like they're trying to, but that's a whole nother episode in itself. Just talking about the bracket system and how they can kind of maybe fix it, or some ideas that we have. There's a lot. And but I definitely think that within the bracket system, they could say, okay, here are the cards that this bracket just can't handle, but this bracket can, and here, let's make it happen.
Yeah, that way you can play the commander that you want to play. And let's be honest. I mean, what's this little otter doing to anybody? He's a perfectly kind little creature. I don't know what anybody's worried about.
Yeah, I mean, he's awesome. Like, he's really cool looking. He's just,
What did an otter ever do to you? You know what I mean? Just let him cook.
Yeah, just let him play in the water, throw his little lightning bolt stone at people. And, have a good time.
Just suck it up.
So with those unbans, I was a little disappointed because I was hoping we would get some more unbans. But before we get to that, what do you think or let me ask this rather. Are there any cards you think that just need banned outright that are currently in the game that you're seeing and you're just like, that card is too strong and it needs to go?
You're probably asking the wrong person for that. I have a hard time banning things or saying something needs banned, mostly because there's always an answer. Where Commander stands now, there's always a counter spell, a kill mechanic, a redirect mechanic. There's always something. Teferi's protection, where you cease to exist somehow. There's always something that like keeps you alive or redirects things. So I have a hard time banning stuff because there just seems to, especially a pot of 4 of people who are competent, there's likely an answer. And it's likely that if you're playing that same card that's breaking the game with your team, with your the guys you're typically playing with, Nevermore's a thing. Like, guys can just go, great. Ted over here is playing this awful commander, and I'm kind of sick of it. I'm gonna just Nevermore and I'm gonna call his commander's name, and he can't cast it this game, or whatever that combo piece is. I'm gonna call. You don't like the new Biorhythm, so I'm going to play Nevermore, and I know Ted plays Biorhythm, so I'm going to play Nevermore, call Biorhythm. You're not playing it this game, and then just protect your Nevermore. So, off the top of my head, no, there's nothing that I'm like, oh, it just can't be in there, man. It's just too much, because most everything I think is fair game.
Yeah, and here's a combo that I forgot about that would definitely help with that is Gravecrawler, Phyrexian Altar, and Bitter Ordeal. You just get that combo on the field, have a couple mana open, and you just exile their entire deck. Oh, not just your opponents across from you, but the other 2 as well. And you don't have to worry about playing all those cards because they're just exiled and they lose whenever you pass the turn.
Gravecrawler holds a special place in my heart because in Modern, I've ran that rule deck, right? That as long as you had a zombie on the field, Gravecrawler can come back for 1 black. And you had the Phyrexian Altar out, and you just kept stacking him to the altar back and forth, and when you and generate black mana from the altar, and when you play him, you cast him, so it counts as a cast. You do that infinitely, and then cast Tendrils of Agony, which has Storm. So you deal. I think it's like target opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life, and because of the Storm effect, it stacks dependent on how much you've cast that turn. Well, you've cast an infinite amount of Gravecrawlers. You're going to do infinite damage, gain infinite life, that kind of thing. So that's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Actually, in my early days of playing Commander, I did have that combo. That was one of the first combos I played, and I did it a couple of times. Yeah, so that was one of the decks that actually turned me away from playing combos because I was like, this is too easy. And
I don't think so. I think this is all falling apart. You're fake news. I think you're playing combos and you're telling everybody not to, so you have an advantage. That's my theory.
Yeah. But I thought it was too easy. I made my point and I took that deck apart. So That was a long time ago. That was over 10 years ago, I think, or close to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some cards that you'd like to see unbanned. So, off the grip, me personally, mine that I want to see unbanned is my boy Golos, Tireless Pilgrim.
Me too.
He was such a fun deck to play. I don't think he was overpowered by any stretch of the imagination. He was good. Like, he's a very good commander. Like, yeah, he's probably a fringe CEDH or an EDH commander. But I don't think he deserved to get the axe. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he was solid. And again, I go back to there's an answer for most everything. And maybe I still think it was even back then, but maybe that was the idea, was like maybe he was just too good at the time. I really don't think so, because you played him and I thought he was just as good as really, like, I think that was a time in which I still had Narset, so I was able to play Tronny, Narset, Infinite Turn kind of stuff, and I wasn't worried about it. But others were, and you know, it's hard to tell what people, how they were using and abusing them. But I don't think it's anything egregious. I mean, look at the commanders we got now that are insane. So I think should be unbanned. I think he's got a bad rap.
Yeah, me too. I think he just was on the wrong side of the fence at the time, I guess, and the wrong crosshairs on him, which just stinks.
Yeah.
So hopefully in the future we see him come off the list. And then a couple
Yeah,
more that I'm kind of on the fence about. So Sundering Titan, which is a green creature, he ETBs, you destroy either a non-land permanent or a permanent. Each opponent you have, you get to destroy a permanent. And then,
did you say Sundering Titan was a green creature?
Did I say Sundering Titan? Oh my goodness, I meant Sylvian Primordial.
Okay, I was like, wait a minute. I know there's no green Sundering Titan.
Yeah, I was totally looking at the list and said Sundering Titan, thinking of Sylvian Primordial. That was my fault.
I got you. That makes more sense now.
Anyways, he destroys something of your opponent's, and then for each thing you destroyed, you get to search your library for a land and put it on the battlefield. It might come on tapped.
I like it.
I don't have the card in front of me. Really good green card, but I don't think that it breaks the game like it when it originally got banned anymore, because there's just so much you can do, and you can ramp out 3 mana really fast anyways. But the ability to take one thing out of your opponent's and get a couple lands or a few lands, that's good. But I don't think it's going to stop the game from happening. But it might help me take out a combo piece, and I like that. But the one I'm really on the fence about, because I think people might abuse him, is Primeval Titan.
Give me the prime time.
I know. Oh man, he's one of my favorite cards printed of all time, especially being a green player in ramp. ETBs, go get 2 lands. Attacks, go get 2 lands. Oh, by the way, he's a 6/6 body with trample, so he's gonna punch you in the face too. But with, like, for me, one of my favorite color combos is blue green. And even like white, you can abuse that and just get all your lands out of your deck quickly, and then just have tons of mana to do anything.
Good times.
He's kind of on the fence for me, but the only reason why I would say don't keep him banned is because, again, there's an answer for everything. Run interaction in your deck, exile the Primeval Titan, so the green-black player can't keep getting him from the graveyard, or the green-white player at that too, because they have graveyard recursion. So there are options to get that off the field. So that would be my argument, is all these cards that are on there, you can get them out of here. It's not like they can just hang around. Not all of them, but the majority.
Go, man. Just let them go.
Yeah.
Don't be scared. It's fine. The water's fine.
Well, what about for you though? Is there anything like on the ban list that you're just like, we need to get that off there?
Yeah. So as we mentioned, Biorhythm with Dan, he's been rallying for that to be unbanned, and he got his way, which is super cool. There's been a card that's been banned a long time that I have no idea why, because there's other cards that do similar things, and that is the Prophet of Crufix. I would love to see it unbanned. If you don't know, probably because she's been cast into the wilderness for so long, but she's a 2/3 5-drop, so 3 colorless, green and blue, And what she says is untap all creatures and lands you control during each other player's untap step. You may cast creature spells as though they had flash. Yes, great stuff. We already kind of do these things. In other manners. What's the it's escaping me now, the green creature that untaps all your lands and stuff at each upkeep.
Yeah, that's Seedborn Muse. So essentially it does the same thing, it just doesn't give flash. Oh, well, it doesn't untap your creatures either. No, it untaps all permanents, I believe.
I believe so.
Yeah, it just doesn't give them flash.
Yes. So, yes, it's slightly better, but it's like, okay. It's like, it's just not broken. And in Commander, again, there's so much interaction and availability that I really think that should be unbanned. And if you don't care to have something like that, I can understand. And like a bracket 3 and under, again, that's why you make specific ban lists per that system, that tiered system. Mm-hmm. And then the people who want to play casual don't have to experience that profit. And the people who are at a higher level get to use it and have fun with it because it's not much different than what we're already doing.
Exactly. And that's kind of the game changer idea, I think. So whether it's a separate ban list or a game changer, let's do it. Like you said, let my people go.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the chaos. That's the thing about being a person who enjoys a bit more competitive play is I don't have a lot of bad feels for negative cards. If somebody does like they rift me or they infinite combo or whatever it is, I don't get super bent out of shape over it because it's part of the game. And if I couldn't stop that rift that ruined my game or the board wipe or the land destruction, should have had an answer for it because I didn't. That's on me. Like if you play Armageddon and I'm in blue and I don't have a counter spell, okay. Or let's say I'm not. Let's say I really couldn't much interact with that. Let's say just that happens. RNG's a thing. It's just sometimes you don't get what you need, and it blows up my lands. Are you telling me I didn't build my deck good enough to where I can't play some lands out and recover from that? I don't have artifacts or anything to assist me. Well, let's improve the deck. And I guess maybe that's my optimist view on building decks is you should be able to learn from each experience and not tell other people how they can't play, but rather improve your game so that when you encounter those things, you have an answer. And so the bad feels don't happen if they do something, you go, yeah, I got an answer for that, no big deal. And then you adapt and overcome. I'd rather adapt and overcome than force people not to play cards. So that's kind of my spiel, I guess.
Yeah, I couldn't agree 100% more than like that is, yeah. You just gotta push yourself to get better and not expect other people to do worse just to make you feel better. That's kind of
play the game, have fun, and don't go in there with an ego. I think a lot of it's ego. If you go in there and losing really hurts your ego, you're going to have a negative experience because everybody loses no matter what. So go in there with the intention to have fun. It's not about always getting the W, or it's not about like the bad experiences of the L's. Like I said, my standard has been, and it's kept me in a better mood when I play Magic instead of getting frustrated, which is try to go in there and play your decks. And if your decks are performing because you've spent time building them right and properly, then great. You're doing your thing. You get to show off some cool cards you're playing. You get to, with that spirit that you're coming into play, which is more playful spirit, you also can appreciate what your friends are doing and their cool decks, and you go, oh man, I love that piece there. What is that card? Can I take a picture of that? I might have to get that. What'd you do there? Because that was super cool. I'd like to do that. You know what I mean? And so it puts you in a better mood, and your interactions and experiences are way better. But if you go in there with the chip on your shoulder and there's a lot of ego involved, you're going to ruin the game for yourself. So check your ego at the door. Come in, have fun, play. Embrace the chaos, because the chaos is what makes it fun. It's not the mundane, I'm going to play a land, I'm going to play a creature and pass turn. Like, that's not fun. What's fun is your friend tried to do some nonsense and you all ganged up on him and laughed at him. That's way more fun.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let me mention some honorable mentions real quick. We don't have to get into them because, that's a whole different story, and I'm sure there's some people.
Yeah, we're an hour 20 in. People are probably sick of us by now.
Yeah. So Mana Crypt definitely needs to come off. Jeweled Lotus definitely needs to come off. And we talked about him earlier, Dockside Extortionist.
Yeah, I was going to say, bring my boy back.
I just don't think they're breaking the game, guys. Especially if you make him a game changer, or again, come up with some sort of ban list for specific tiers of play. I got really bummed when they banned those, because Jeweled Lotus, I bought a lot of that set that it came in, Commander Masters. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's been so long, but and I ended up pulling two. I got super lucky. I pulled two. One's a full art. It's really cool, and
You
I
always get super
enjoyed.
lucky. You make me sick.
I have some really lucky pulls. I don't know how it happens, but if it makes you feel better, it's only in Magic. It's nothing else in life. I have to
Yeah,
work
it
hard
still
for
makes me
everything
mad.
else.
I get packs and there's somehow dog feces and a paper bag lit on fire inside mine. Like I get laughed at. And then you're like, oh, I just pulled this Badger Mole cup for that's like $60, $70. No big deal.
Oh,
I
this is
just
my
pulled
third
these
one.
great cards. Yeah, see, you disgust me.
Yeah, so I like playing with those. Again, it makes the game go a little faster. You get more games in, and you can still be competitive and have fun. It all depends on how you just look at the game, to be honest. So
Yep, perspective. Again, go in with, and especially think about it. You go in, had a rough day at work, or things are going on in life. Everybody's got things they're dealing with and problems, and that's bad enough. But Magic can be that experience where your friends come together and it's super positive and you feel better at the end of the day. Like you go in Friday night, work's been killing you all week. You have a good several games with friends of yours, and like the whole day is recovered because of that. Like it was actually like, okay, this day ended pretty good. So that's awesome. But if you go into those games, like I said, with the ego, with the I got to win every game thing, you're going to be disappointed. And then the experience becomes negative. And so what are you doing it for if it's not relaxing to you, enjoyable, if it's not a way to hang out with your friends? So you really pay attention to what you're doing as you go into these games and make sure your mind's right so that you can get the maximum enjoyment out of it and it be a super positive experience. Otherwise you're doing yourself a disservice.
exactly. And one last kind of analogy before we wrap up here. Let's say you're a sports person. And I think most people can get behind this because, basketball's pretty popular. If you're going into the game and let's paint the picture like this. Friday night, you just get off work, you go to the gym to play some ball with your buddies, and of course everybody's going to be at a different level. You might have a guy who just played for fun. You might have a guy who's played his whole life. And the guy who's played his whole life can shoot threes and just he doesn't miss very often. He's got over a 50% chance of, making that three. Well, the guy who's, just played for fun, if he comes in and he's like, "Oh, well, that's not fair that he can shoot a three-pointer and make it every time and I can't. Let's just ban three-pointers." That doesn't make any sense. Like that just takes away from the game. Now I'm not saying that maybe that guy should go find somebody else to play with that's on his level. But when you're friends and you're competing with each other, you're trying to push each other. So maybe you should practice, get better. I don't know.
Yeah, competition can be healthy. And yeah, just again, we'll have an episode about build your play group, and we'll go on large tangents, I guess, about that. But for your own sake, if you want to have the most fun out of Magic, it is your perspective going in and trying to make the best out of it. Because again, you want to leave a card night just really pumped and excited. And I know after 25 years, I leave Commander nights, and even on the nights that I get just wrecked, and that happens because sometimes just not your night. It don't matter how good you are. It seems like there's just nights where it's like, oh, cool, my decks no longer have lands. That's a thing. Oh, I put rocks in here. Don't exist, and I can't get a rampant growth if I pay for it. So you're gonna have nights like that. But if your perspective is always that of the student, we'll say, that's always learning and adapting, even those nights you get roughed up, I'll be driving home and I'll be like, okay, I played Corvold, that didn't work out. This card just stays in my hand. I'm gonna like get rid of that. I might swap it for this. And Fuzz did this, and that was sick. So I need to do something like that. How can I add that? My brain's in overtime. I'm thinking about how I can adapt and adjust and make my decks even better. So it can be super inspiring, actually. And you don't have those moments if you're not challenging each other. So embrace the suck. Embrace the challenge of the game. Don't get super jaded about it. If somebody like you don't know you're at your LGS and they beat you very clearly, don't get super bent out of shape, and kick the chair and walk off, because I've seen that. Instead go, dude, that was super awesome. How did you do that combo? I would love to do something like that. Could you show me? And I'm telling you, people open up and they're like, dude, yeah, I'll show you. This is awesome. I'm so excited about it. Check this out. And they'll probably break cards down for you. And you'll learn from each interaction. And if they don't, then that's probably not a good person. Then don't worry about it. But you'll find a lot of people will open up and teach you so much if you have that mentality. Tangent over.
Oh, no, absolutely. And that reminds me of a player that when we used to play standard a lot, if he, I don't remember exactly what would set him off, but he would kick chairs, walk out, get angry. And I remember playing him one time at a standard event, and I was like, oh no, this guy, like, I want to play Magic and have fun, but this dude's going to explode, and I don't know how I'm going to react if he does. It was quite the opposite, though. I was playing a bristling Hydra deck. It was when Aether Drift came out. And I like the Hydra comes in, you get some counters. And I think if you remove 3 counters, she gets like hexproof or something until the end of the turn. Well,
yes, I believe so.
Yeah. So I was in control of the game. I actually had one out and I was kind of beating his face in. And at the time, this was probably about 3 to 5 years into my Magic career. I said, all right, I'm going to remove all the counters. I had like 9. I'm going to remove all the counters and, pump him, and he's going to have hexproof. And then he goes, all right, I'm going to respond and kill him. And I was like, oh man, like I can't do anything about that. That's on the stack. And I was like, and I asked him, I was like, hey, like what could I have done better to not have that happen? Because I was in control until that moment, and then you won the match. And he was actually really cool. He's like, well, you just got to make sure you do the triggers separately. And that's how I learned, oh, I need to trigger things separately to go on the stack. So that way, if I can protect it again, that was a huge learning moment for me. So definitely don't be afraid to ask people, hey, how'd you do that? Or what can I do better to maybe beat that combo? So,
yep. Guys, they'll open up again because they spend a lot of time building their decks up. They're super proud of them a lot of the time, and they're excited about it like you are. And when you say, man, I appreciate what you did there because I lost, and that was super cool how you did it. Like, what would you suggest, or what do you think is the answer to that going forward and stuff like that? Guys, a lot of times will open up. Now, if you're at some, like, Grand Prix doing that, they're going to be like, get bent, kid, because I'm not telling you my secret because I'm trying to make my way to the top, But most time, you're at LGS, you're just having fun, or especially with your friends. Share ideas, challenge each other. You'll get better. You'll appreciate the game more, and I think it'll have more longevity because you won't get stale.
Exactly. Well, man, I think that does it for this episode. We covered a lot, unpacked it, and talked about it, and I feel good about it. How do you feel?
Good. And eventually, we'll get socials and different things brought up. So those of you who are like the show or hate follow, whatever you want to do, you'll be able to follow us on social media. We'll get those out to you. We're still getting the network, we'll say, put together. But that definitely be a thing. So you'll be able to comment and tell us how terrible we are. Totally fine.
Yeah, and feel free to leave a comment on this and kind of tell us what you think or your experiences, and maybe we'll talk about it in a future show. And we'll definitely have our socials linked down in the show notes on whatever platform you're listening to this on, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, one of the many. So we'll make sure you have a way to see where we're at and when we're posting. But like always, we appreciate, listening to us if you made it this far. Hopefully you come back for some more episodes in the future.
Yep. We'll see you next time.